Let's talk about plantar fasciopathy. What is plantar fasciopathy? How does it manifest? And then more importantly, what can you do to determine if you have plantar fasciopathy? So typically when we talk about plantar fasciopathy, the most common term is plantar fasciitis. Plantar fasciitis insinuates that there's inflammation within the plantar fascia, which can happen. But now what we know with more and more research, it is more a breakdown of the tissue type, which is of the plantar fascia, than it is of inflammation. Let's talk about terminology when dealing with plantar fasciopathy. The traditional term is plantar fasciitis, which insinuates that there's inflammation within the tissue. We now know with research that inflammation may be present, but it's most likely to be a disruption of the actual fibers within the plantar fascia itself. So what does that mean? It means that things like anti-inflammatories might not necessarily be what you need to do in order to get it better from a pain relief and also a healing perspective as well. How do you determine if you have plantar fasciopathy? Typically, we look at your running training load. Like most running related injuries, have you spiked your load with respect to bringing in too much volume or bringing in too much speed? Footwear is another consideration when dealing with plantar fasciopathy. Changes in footwear, like bringing a new pair of shoes into your rotation, adding in carbon plated shoes, can affect your foot mechanics, can affect how hard your foot has to work, and then potentially development of plantar fasciopathy itself. And lastly, your calf strength is also a great determinant of whether your plantar fascia is resilient enough to take on load. We know that the calf is a continuous sling in through the Achilles and down into the plantar fascia. So a lack of calf strength will then have a direct impact on how hard that plantar fascia has to work as well. So what can you do to test and determine if you have an irritable plantar fascia? The first thing is understanding your hallmark signs. Morning stiffness and morning pain is a hallmark sign when it comes to plantar fascia-based pain. So most people will say they feel like they've stepped onto a nail first thing in the morning and it's quite stiff and it takes maybe 5 to 15 minutes to settle down before you get going. Pain also with prolonged sitting, so after you sit down for a long period of time, then you try and stand up again, you get that same type of morning stiffness pain. Second one is palpation. Where is your location of pain? Pain on the inside of your heel bone is typically where you'll find most plantar fascia related pain, or pain directly under the heel itself as well can also be another hallmark sign. And finally, your calf strength. Do you have a lack of calf strength on one side versus the other? And that will determine how that entire functional sling is working for you. Put that all together with respect to your training load, the testing, maybe changes in shoes, and that will give you some information whether you're dealing with plantar fascia-based pain. And as always, seek some professional help, whether it's a sports medicine consultant, a physiotherapist, or a professional in your home country.